Welcome back. Well, today I'm going to answer once and for all the question about why Mini-14s have 223 REM written on the back of the receiver. So why is this idiot holding this gun? This isn't a Mini-14. Well, it has to do with this gun. And it's because there's a historic perspective that this gun lends to it. When I came home from Vietnam, this rifle here was about as popular as a bean supper in a submarine, if you know what I mean. Nobody, and I mean nobody, had any inclination to buy an AR-15 when they came home from Vietnam. The rifle was not only something which made little sense to him, it made about as much sense as why he went to Vietnam in the first place. It was the very symbol of an unpopular war. You know, anybody who was marching in protest against Vietnam, and they oftentimes were marching in protest directly against us, you know, we became the symbol of their state of mind. And you know, there were veterans that were unfortunately discriminated against. They couldn't get jobs. They were spat upon, things like that. It was a horrible thing. But to stay away from the political part of it, it was very much, you know, a symbol of an abhorrent condition that was going on in the early 70s. That rifle, the picture of that rifle would be carried by protesters on banners, you know. And that was the sort of thing that rifle represented. For anybody who really wanted to own one, you had to shell out 3 times the price of a standard Winchester or Remington or Savage rifle in those days. And nobody wanted to buy one. I mean, there were a few curiosity seekers that, you know, had some money, and they'd go into a store. You had to special order the gun. You couldn't just go in and buy an AR-15 off the shelf in the 70s or 80s, even in the early 90s. It just wasn't done. I would say up until the mid-90s, you just simply didn't see an AR-15 sitting on the shelf. It was strictly a special order thing, and I have here a list of manufacturers as of this 2007 Gun Digest. I combed through this very thoroughly, and this Gun Digest lists 5 manufacturers in 2007. Now, you know how many manufacturers there are out there now. But they listed Armalite, which had been at that time reorganized, and Colt. Well, those are the 2 prominent names in the early history of the AR-15 and the M16. And then Bushmaster, Les Baer, and Olympic. That was it in 2007. That's not that long ago. That's the extent of the manufacturing industry for and the interest in the AR-15 at that time. I know for a fact that it was only in the last 10 years where you saw more than a couple of AR-15s sitting on the racks in any of the larger stores. They just simply weren't popular. As popular as they are now, you might think that sounds very peculiar, but that's the fact of the matter. It's that they weren't popular at all. I never knew, to be honest with you, I never knew a Vietnam veteran that had any interest in ever owning one of those rifles. He came home from Vietnam after leaving. The last sight of it was when he left his M16 with the armorer. He didn't want anything more to do with that, and he didn't want anything more to do with his fatigues, you know. The only people who wore Vietnam-era fatigues in those days, you know, the green fatigues, and we didn't wear camouflage. You know, that's a bunch of nonsense. There were a few people, Rangers and stuff, that would sometimes have them specially made, you know, by Vietnamese tailors or something. But nobody wore camouflage in Vietnam. The only people who wore, you know, military camouflage. I mean, the only people who wore military OD when, you know, in the 70s were people, you know, hippies that bought them cheaply at the Army and Navy stores that were left there by returning servicemen. That's the only people who had any interest in wearing that stuff. So anyway, it was not a popular rifle. Well, there was a problem that occurred. Just as in previous wars, World War I mean, even going back to Spanish-American War, World War I, World War II, Korea, there was a flood of available surplus ammunition, military ammunition, and it was all naturally 5.56 millimeter. Well, as I say, it had no market with the returning veterans. So all this ammunition basically was just destined to probably end up being scrapped. Bill Ruger, on the other hand, recognized a very good opportunity. He saw this ammunition, which couldn't be used in a civilian firearm because it was metric military designation and higher pressures. And for that matter, the 223 Remington wasn't even on the market yet in the early 70s. Remington was still promoting the 223 Remington and the 223 Remington Magnum, and they were, to my knowledge, if there was any 223 Remington out there in the early 70s, I'm not aware of it. And Colt, Colt was the only company producing AR-15s for the civilian market, and it had to be it was a special order item. Anybody who had that kind of money could go up to the counter and lay down 3 times the cost of a regular hunting rifle, and he could order himself a Colt AR-15. And I would say that was probably 1 person in 1,000. They were very rare. I mean, the only one I saw was the stolen ones that we had at the police station that we used that had been recovered by us. Well, anyway, Mr. Ruger saw an opportunity. Vietnam had wound down. 95% of the troops had already come home by the end of 1970. The last of them had officially come home by March of 1973. But by that time, there was already, warehouses full of military ammunition that was unusable. So Bill Ruger took advantage of that. He went to work and had this rifle developed. This is a newer edition, naturally, but he had the Mini-14 developed, and he specifically chambered it for that military ammunition. That was his entire intent. He wanted to have a rifle that could make use of that ammunition for 2 reasons. First of all, that ammunition being so readily available at such a ridiculously low price. I mean, we're talking a couple of $3 a box for an entire box of military ammo with the magazine stripper. So it was a really economical combination. So he released this rifle with that particular ammunition in mind, chambered for the 5.56 millimeter. Where you say, no, that's not true, because my rifle says 223 Rem on it. Well, you're thinking about it in hierarchical terms, which didn't exist in those days. The standard admonition is that you should always restrict your ammunition to only chambering what it's marked on the barrel of the receiver. So that leads one to the conclusion that if it was marked 223 Rem, that meant that it's not suitable for 5.56 millimeter, except for the very fact that that's not true. Remember that with every rifle there comes a owner's manual, and what's nice with the computer age is you can go to the web and go straight to the manufacturer and download exactly the manual that you need. So here we have instructions and parts list for Ruger Mini-14 223 parentheses 5.56 close parentheses caliber. This was the manual for 1974. That was the introduction date of the Mini-14 to 1977. There it is right there. You can go on Ruger's website and you can look up owner's manuals under customer support, and you'll find that. You can see that. You can see that designation right up here. 5.56 millimeter. And thus it says right in the, if you think that Ruger didn't know what they were talking about, it says the Mini-14 is designed to use either, now here we are in the hierarchical sense, U.S. military, commercial, sporting, or other 223 parentheses 5.56 millimeter caliber ammunition manufactured to U.S. industry standards. That same thing is printed in the, let's see, we got 1978 to 2004. Here's 1978 to 2004, and again, it says right up here. This is Ruger Mini-14 rifle, caliber 223, 5.56 millimeter. Check it out. Check it out. I don't know why these arguments persist, because these manuals, Ruger has always produced these manuals. They've been clearly stated ever since they produced the rifle. And we continue on now, 1982 to 2004. And again, you can see in the top, right under my finger there, you can see caliber 223 rem and 5.56 millimeter. And again, it spells it out. It says Ruger Mini-14 range rifles are chambered 4. Now they swapped the hierarchy because they know that in this particular era, this is now 1982 to 2004. The 223 had surged in popularity. It had replaced, by that time, by 1982, the 223 had largely supplanted the popularity of the 222 Remington and really had obliterated the market for the 222 Remington Magnum. And it had become it had gone to the top of the heap. So for that reason, and by this time, commercial ammunition was being produced by Remington and Winchester for 223 cartridges. So it made sense to continue to mark 223 on the rifles. We weren't into the AR-15 world yet. You know, you might say, "Well, no, we AR-15s are all over the place." Well, they weren't back then. Let me tell you. Here we go. Manufactured after 2004. After 2004, and by this time there were many different chamberings, and it says right here, the Mini-14 ranch rifles are offered in 2 calibers, 223 Remington 5.56 millimeter, and the 6.8 Remington SPC. That was one of the earlier versions in that period. And the target model, and this is the only time that Ruger diverted from chamberings in 5.56 metric. And that was during the manufacturing period of the target model, and that's capital T, capital M. And that was a rifle that didn't sell in great numbers. It's been discontinued, but they had a harmonic stabilizer on the front of the barrel. It looked a little bit like a silencer can. That was the only time that was the only rifle that they ever produced in the Mini-14 configuration, and was really an odd duck. It had a different thumb hold stock and all that stuff. But that was only 223 Remington. But other than that, there has never been a time. There's no such thing as a pre 5.56 NATO Mini-14 or post 5.56 NATO rifle. They were always from 1974 when it was first introduced until presently, it has always been chambered for 5.56 millimeter. Bill Ruger knew what he was doing. He knew his market. He knew that nobody knew what the heck a 5.56 millimeter was And it was also a time, the early 70s was a particular time when metric was becoming very, very unpopular with the U.S. People. The government was ready to stuff it down our throats. I mean, after getting used to, growing up with imperial numbers, English numbers, suddenly, that had been around ever since colonial days. Now we were going to be told that we were going to have to go metric, and people didn't like it at all. They didn't want to start thinking in terms of metric. I know it makes a lot of sense in some ways, especially if you're picking socket wrenches out and things, but it didn't go over well, and it was highly unpopular. Just the very notion. I had my buddy. It was highly unpopular to digest, and Bill Ruger knew that too. He knew that to mark 5.56 millimeter on the back of his receiver, that it would have that military designation and also have that very unsavory metric connotation, which was not popular. It was Ronald Reagan, as a matter of fact, it was President Ronald Reagan that reversed that whole thing. When he took over the presidency from Jimmy Carter, one of the first things he did was he completely smashed this conversion to metric in the United States. So although some things had already started to go that way, that was the end of it. So that lack of popularity persisted for a long time, and that's why certain metric cartridges they simply didn't make it in that period of time. But there was never any pre or post 5.56 millimeter. That's the end of that. That's the end of the story, and had to do entirely with the history of the rifle and the cartridge itself, which was all about the M16 and the AR-15's lack of popularity. So when did the AR-15 become popular? Well, I would say that, I wasn't keeping official records, but I would say that I didn't start seeing it on store shelves until probably about 12 or 15 years ago. And when I say that, I'm talking about sizable numbers. There was probably beginning in the early 2000s, dealers had one or two or three sitting in there on the shelf, but I didn't start to see a great number of them until probably the mid 2000s, like 2010, about maybe 15 years ago. I started to see some in any sizable numbers, and then all of a sudden there was a very, very large surge of popularity that occurred probably simply in the last 7 or 8 years, due to political circumstances. So that's it. I thank my Patreon donors especially for your help. I recently had to buy some camera equipment to keep on producing here. That stuff isn't cheap, and it helps me buy the ammo that I need to bring to you. On a day when I don't have quite so, this is too hot for me to get out in the the middle of the sun all day long, be sunstroke. But when it's a nice day, I want to get out with you with the 45 ACP with the that nice Colt Gold Cup National Match, and bring that to you with the ammo that we just loaded up with my Patreon donors' help. So that's it. Benny's having a good time. He's snoozing here on the cool concrete. So I'll finish up my beer and bid you adieu. Thanks for watching. Smash that thumbs up button. Give me a like, please, and don't forget to subscribe. God bless.